Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. In today's video I'm taking a look at the absolutely massive Terminus Giganticus. That's the FansToys FT-20. That's their take on a masterpiece style Omega Supreme. He comes packaged like this in two massive great pieces of styrofoam or polystyrene depending on your location on the globe. Personally, I would wait and get both of these to ship together because they are pretty much useless on their own. There's kind of bits and pieces from one in the other box and vice versa, so I'd ship them both together and enjoy this guy in all his glory in one foul swoop. Just looking inside the polystyrene, we get the tank section here. We've got the shoulder backpack section over here. At the far end here we've got the replacement chest plate. We've got all of the parts of track over in one side, and on here we've got his arms and both his legs. So really you need kind of pieces of this and pieces of that. You can't just work with one part alone. Right, here we have all of the pieces out of the packaging. It's like a huge Transformers builder figure, isn't it? We're going to go for robot mode first, as I think that's probably going to be the easiest and the less involved. And don't quote me on this, but I would imagine a vast majority of you who are watching this video with the intent to buy this are going to display him in the massive robot mode that FansToys deliver. The first port of call is to open up the arm sections to get the joints outwards. We just pull this section apart, flip the joint out. Listen to those ratchets. Oh, it's divine, it really is. And then we can close that back off, and there's a tab and some holes which correspond over there. We can just tab that in, and you can come to the front section. We can just pull and extend the cannon section outwards, tabbing each of these small grey sections in to secure it into place. Same principle for the claw. Open this section up, bring out the joints, bring these together and tab those in, and then we can just bring out the claws and extend them. Come to the thighs and just go to the top and just pull these sections apart. Come to the tank section, and this is fantastic. It's such a hefty lump of plastic. This feels official, you know. This is a huge nod to my childhood. It just feels like a really ballooned version of the Omega tank. You've got some really nice rubber treads going on here. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's bring the neck section upwards, again on a really nice strong ratchet. Come to his crotch section. You want to just pull this section up, and this lip section is on a double hinge and it actually comes back over on itself and tabs in like so. Grab this section here and you want to rotate this round, and my goodness, is that on a super tight metallic ratchet. Slide this section upwards, grab these side panels here, you want to flip those open, and this section here just folds on the inside of this hinge, tucking in nicely, and we can bring this section back and it's going to collapse into here. Pull that away from the torso on both sides, which then slides out at the bottom, which gives us a large space to start doing some rotation. Lift this front pod upwards and rotate the upper torso, and we can now slide these pieces back in and tab those in on either side. Come to this translucent piece here, bring it up, slide it down and rotate it, and then tab that in. Grab your ridiculously large backpack, lift this piece here, rotate this until it's clear, then we can bring that up, and yeah, that's a really big set of shoulders. Making sure you have this piece here facing forwards. I'm going to just open up the back of this. This is going to slide in those grooves and just place that firmly on, and then come around to the rear, and this is now going to tab in to the back of the groove section. Now do the same with both arms. In preparation for the arms, we just want to make sure that this back piece is pulled down. pull these pieces out of the sides, and now with these tabs open, they correspond with the square peg on the inside there. You're going to line that up, that's going to slide inside, and then these sections are all going to click into place. Come around to the base of the foot, and we can just bring down this heel spur section. I mean, this is absolutely massive, and I love that we've got this rubber texture along the side here. Now these sprue marks, don't forget this is a pre-production sample. It's pretty much close to what we're going to get with the final piece, but this isn't final. It is a pre-production, in essence a test shot. I mean, just look at the detailing. I mean, we don't need this sort of detailing on the bottom of the feet, but they've included it anyway. And once they're tabbed in, there we have the legs. His wing pieces tab in beautifully on the backpack. Just slide those into place, and we're going to go and bring this over the shoulders, and we've got several tabbing points here. It tabs in on here, and this tabs in on the front. And to get this to lock in nice and securely, tab these front sections in first, then bring it down over the shoulders, tabbing those in. Some small tabs on the back of the bum plate. Untab this section from the hip and just bring that round, and that's just going to slide in on the back there, covering up the gap on the top of the leg. And here he is in all of his glory. You go out and you get all these base sections to try and build a really big background to display your figures in the videos, and still it's not enough. I need more. He is absolutely gigantic and magnificent. I was trying to get him gripping hold of his other arm, but they can't quite come together enough to have this in a kind of firing pose and the arm gripping onto it, like he did in the cartoon where he holds his arm, kind of steadies it to fire. Unfortunately, that isn't quite possible, just due to the sheer bulk in this chest here. There's just not enough motion on these arms. If they had like a butterfly joint which folded outwards on either side of the shoulder, that could work, but unfortunately that isn't the case. I absolutely love that head sculpt. I've done a really good job of capturing the animation model there. Just lift this section up. I mean, just look at him. Got this really nice kind of blue pearlescent colour behind the head, and if we just rotate the head around, this is how you gain access to the battery compartment. We can just twist that round. There's a switch just here. Turn the switch, and we can now bring the head back round. And there we go. We now have glowing eyes as well. I like the fact that they've got that kind of metallic tint to them, and they offer us the ability to light up his eyes. That's nice. I do like that. Lifting up the top of the scalp allows us to get full access to his head to allow for rotation. Bring that back down, tab that in, and let's close off his mask. Gorgeous ratchet on that neck there. You don't really get any range of motion up or down there. We get a little bit of upwards motion, little bit of down, but not really as much as I would like. I would like him to be able to look down at Devastator, for example. Let's come to the chest area, and grabbing this section here, bring this out, bring it down, and we could just flip the switch. There we go. We've got a nice little matrix chamber going on there. Bring that back up, switch that off for now, because unfortunately you can't see that all the way through this section. We have access to the switch by opening up the arm and reaching inside and just pulling that across. And to get access to the cannon, just twist, and we can just bring the switch upwards and then just close that off. And there we go, the cannon, the claw and the eyes. It's nice that they've included those light up features. Now, of course, we do get these additional pieces as well. This is in case you're not keen on the grey crotch section. We can bring in this, and that slides into that gap like so, and push that in, and there is the red crotch piece in place. And to change out the chest, again, pull this section out, slide it up, and just rotate. We can then bring in the filled, that's the biggest sticker I had, and even that's not big enough. We can then bring in this section and just twist that into place, slide it all the way down to the bottom, and then just bring this back up and just press and tab into place. Right, let's cover the rest of the articulation. I've already briefly touched on the head, the shoulders. Come all the way up and all the way down. The outer shoulders can come upwards and downwards. The joints are ridiculously tight. We do get a nice rotation in there though. It's all solid. We get an extremely noisy, softer ratchet on the upper bicep. And I especially love this joint here. When you bend the arm up, this section of the claw just disappears into the forearm gap, and we're left with a very nice 90-degree bend on that elbow. The claw itself has 3 points of articulation on each claw, and it's all on a very nice, strong ratchet joint. We have a very smooth movement there on the waist. The leg sections actually move forwards and backwards at the crotch on a butterfly joint. We can come out to the front, not a great range there. Can't really bring it as far forward as I would have liked. Out to the back is a little bit better than going forward. This thing is ridiculously heavy. Out to the side. Again, it's just a matter of maneuvering these crotch sections to make it work for you. Coming down to the knees, there is some pivoting on that knee joint. We get a nice solid bend there, although we are left with a very big gap around that knee joint area. We have some left and right motion on the feet, some up and down, and some nice pivoting to and fro. Now, we were never going to have the sort of articulation that we get on smaller figures, but my biggest gripe about the articulation on this is just how tight these shoulders are. When you turn these joints, they tend to pop the wing section away from Omega's back. Best way to get around is to just hold your finger in place there and move the joints. I mean, it's due to the sheer size and bulk, and there's lots of die cast hidden away in there, and it's just, unfortunately, just enough to pull this backpack section away from those small tabs. And time for a quick scale comparison. As you can see, he is rather large, to say the least. It's an extremely good scale though. I mean, he looks incredible alongside these guys, doesn't he? There's enough support and motion in the claw for him to be able to lift up your masterpiece Megatron, or he could grab a hold of Astro Train. And I know this pose isn't exactly perfect, but not overly far off, and I think that's acceptable. Like any of my giant figures, he has to be able to pull off a very elegant ballerina pose, or a kind of running I'm gonna fall over pose, and I think he pulls it off pretty darn well. And a couple of you wanted me to test out the tightness of Omega's joints. They're pretty good. It's hard to balance Devastator on there because he tends to fall apart a bit, but Omega, yeah, not so much. I was going to try and weigh him for you, but so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I can't really help with the weight there. I mean, there is a lot. He is a big, heavy guy. I think my scales go up to about 5 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds off the top of my head, but I mean, that's near enough the size of my youngest child. I got asked the very interesting question, would Omega fit in a double shelf of a detail? I make that just about 25.5 inches. That's about 66.5 centimeters in height. And at his widest, he's about 18.5 inches, which is around 47.5 centimeters. I hope that helps. And I know it's not perfect, but if you extend the waist section downwards, it allows you to bring the legs all the way over to the front. So we can reenact that little, I'm going to sit you down and have a nice long chat with you, Omega. Still can't believe he towers over Devastator. You can, of course, rotate the head up and around and have the tank section firing forwards just by pulling that out. Got this kind of look thing going on. You can pop that back in. Genuinely am blown away at how this guy looks. The attention to detailing is just mind-boggling. So many great nods to both the original toy and the original animation model. Bravo, FansToys. Bravo. Now to get Omega Supreme transformed up, our first port of action is to turn these LED lights off. So let's just pop this around and just switch that off. Now personally, I like to keep the head round this way as well. I don't like the fact he has a face in tank mode, so I generally try and keep the back of the head facing this way. It just looks better in my opinion. Now our next port of action is to remove this backpack section. We do that exactly the same way as we put it on. You just pull up from the back and it's going to come untabbed from the shoulders and finally from the chest, and we can just pull this section away. Come to the leg sections and we just want to pry these sections apart and then just pull the torso section out and push these clips back upwards. Come over to the arms, you want to lift up that back tab, detach these sections like so, open them up, rotate this section back inwards and close that back off. Do that with the claw and then bring the rocket section in. Got these corresponding slots here and these tabs here. We're just going to bring that in and that's going to slot in on top. Come to the backpack section. You want to bring the arm around, bring this section downwards, and as we bring this over we can then start to rotate this joint and keep rotating until it's facing upwards, and then bring this section back over, grabbing firmly on the base of the wing, slide those out from either side, and these actual wings are going to open upwards and they're going to form the sides of the track just like in G1. Come to the legs, you want to pull this section away and that now allows these side panel sections to detach from either side of the foot, and you want to pull these sections inwards. Grab the foot, lift this section up. Using the angle tilt we can rotate this section around, bring that back up, and that's going to just lock into place. Fully extend this ramp section, click that into place and then bring out the tip of the ramps. Do that for both sides. Pop the heel spur sections away. Now bring these two sections together. You're going to lay those on the front there and then bringing in the backpack, you've got these four prongs. They are going to push down and line up like so. Grab the thigh sections. And if we turn these around, you've got this piece here which is going to open up. You can then push this piece here all the way around and it's going to extend up and over this hinge. And as we bring that up, you can rotate this piece here and thread that through the gap. Bring this piece here down and over the lip and extend here and just close this panel off. Come to the underside and you want to square this section off by pressing it in and just lining it up so it sits nicely in there and is below this line here. Do that with both sides. Now this joint here is definitely the most complex of the leg. I highly recommend you rotate it whilst it's on the outside of the leg. So what we do, we bend this in, and as we start to feel any sort of resistance, we just press on this hinge here and that collapses in. And that now allows us to thread this through and then working the joint as we bring it through the leg and then just square that off and just collapse it into place. It's definitely the most complex part of that leg. Now, using a tabbing system, very much the same as what we got with the original Omega Supreme, just slide these in to those sections of track, and the result is a completely massive track with that gorgeous rocket mounted in the middle. Come around to the shoulders of the torso section, slide those out and slide those out along there. With the backpack section all lifted up, we can rotate the torso section around and we can bring this back down, flip this tab over, slide these panels back in, bring this front panel down, then push from the bottom and slide that back up, and we're going to just push to tab that into place, push and extend the lower torso. That now allows us to rotate these around. Now forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can transform it with this section on, because that doesn't really sit as it should. It's meant to sit flat on here. So I think I need to lift this section out, which then allows this section to come down and be perfectly flat, and then that can just tab into the base. Untab these outer arms, bring them up and over, and retab those into location. Unfold this side section, bringing it up and tabbing that back in on either side. Open up this tab here. We can now flip the cannon section up, slide that back and close this off. You can then bring the tank head upwards to the front, push the turret section down and fully extend. It's just the finer things that make all the difference. I mean, when we bring that gun turret head up, this section moves forwards, and then we have this tab section here which just drops into place and covers up the back end section beautifully. This guy's massive! And here we have the bloody amazing Omega tank. I have such nostalgic feels right now. Oh, this bring back memories of my childhood. Of course, we have these roller sections on the bottom there, so he does kind of roll, not amazingly, and no doubt somebody's going to modify one of these and see if they can get some sort of motor in there. That would be amazing if they could. Because I closed off the face section, we've now got a very nice panel at the back there. I don't think we'll benefit from the light. I was hoping that maybe if we turn the light on then the turret might light up, but it doesn't. So that's not a big deal in my opinion. That's definitely not a deal breaker. We do have rotation on the tank turrets, can go up and down. These cannons can obviously extend like so, but I mean that's pretty much it. That is a massive version of the Omega tank, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Just holding it in hand, you've got these really good rubber treads, and you may know that my collection is very varied. I have things like some of the Gigapower dinos, mixing it up with some of the FansToys dinos. I've got some Make Toys mixing it up with Toy World. Now I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the X9 does with this, but that being said, if you have picked this for your masterpiece Omega Supreme, you are not going to be disappointed. It is, in my opinion, one of the best offerings from FansToys to date, and the cost is a fraction of what I would have assumed it would have been. We're talking a lot of figure for your money here. This guy stands pretty much toe-to-toe with Metroplex and Fortress Maximus. Now, I would get both of them out to show you, but my son isn't here right now. He's at school, and I don't want to be going into his room and messing up his display. I didn't have room for them in my display, so he now claims the Titans have a rightful place on his shelf, so fair dues to him. But I will be taking some pictures and posting them on my Facebook page of comparison between those. But he has so much heft to him, and he can move his legs, he can move his arms, and nothing falls off him, nothing falls apart. Now, I'm sorry this video has gone on for quite a while. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. It's a very big figure, and I can't emphasize that enough. I honestly Highly recommend you picking up both parts in one go to save yourself on those shipping costs. If this is your first time experiencing FansToys products, I've included a playlist link up here in the corner. And until next time, from myself and Terminus Giganticus, aka Omega Supreme, thanks for watching and goodbye.